Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to 2019 LCK Spring. We are one game down. And honestly, if you stopped that game at 30 minutes in, you'd say that should be a Hanwha Life victory. That's just what it looked like. But no, they're up against Griffin. So, of course, the scoreline says Griffin 1-0.
So interesting walking to the back, walking past the fans. There's such a restless murmur after a game like that because everyone has something to say, a take. They were all there and just in awe of what happened. And that's really what we see with Griffin games more often than not. When it does go late game, you have to feel like you need to check in and be like, I was there for that moment, that team fight, the eventual pentakill, maybe the second best play from Viper that series because, of course, swooping in and actually getting the assassination on first Bono and then Songyun to get the team back into the game was maybe the bigger moment. That was a fiery one, and it's kind of insane that we have to pick ourselves back up, and I'm talking about the players and also us as casters and even the fans. Reset that mental, get that heart rate down, and do it all again.
And reevaluate sort of how this series is going to go as well, because the damage that losing a game like that would have done to the mental abilities of Hanwha Life Esports is ridiculous. They can bounce back and have a performance like they did in the early game in Game 1. That is the most gigantic testament to this team ever, because I have a feeling that Griffin have a big chance of just running over the top in Game number 2, because Hanwha would have felt robbed at the end of that game.
I mean, they really left it all on the riff for the first 30, 35 minutes, and then some poor positioning in that awkward spot when you're trying to team fight against the enemy team on their side of the jungle with incomplete vision, and then trying to get the Elder, which was the right call, remember. They had 5 stacks of the Drake, at least 4, and they were forcing Griffin to come in late. The Sejuani ult goes wide, and yet Kai'Sa had the 6 items that she'd been granted from getting back into the game. And that was all she wrote. First pentakill of the Riot era of the LCK in this building does go to Viper. He does it on a regular champion, and 100% kill participation from the AD carry is a sort of stat you never want to see because it shows you that early game was very vacant from Griffin. If you got 100% kill participation on the AD carry, that usually requires you to come back in the game through team fights.
And also, Griffin set themselves up for this, right? They were focusing Tarzan's attention towards the bottom side of the map. They managed to get that 1-0-1 scoreline for Viper very early on. Chovy on your screen right here also had once again a great performance on the Akali, especially with how he managed to win that first team fight that Griffin was able to take control of. Pick and ban is upon us right now, and we'll see what changes Griffin are going to make and what changes Hanwha Life are going to make. I have a feeling this game is going to look very different.
Jungle matchup here is my most interesting thing because Griffin, remember, overall last pick Sejuani and got slammed. He got punished for taking Sejuani into Hail of Blade Xin Zhao without really a team-wide plan, and it definitely went to plan for Hanwha Life for so long in this game. So honestly, you don't want to change too much because of how well you played Hanwha Life, but resetting your mental might need a change of picks, a change of game plan, because otherwise, like you say, it'd kind of be a tragedy if Hanwha Life rolled over after such a great Game 1 performance.
I really want to see them actually fight back, as the Lissandra is going to be banned away from Lava here. Maybe higher chance that we'll see the man back on his LeBlanc that was so impressive in their series against the FLICKR Freaks.
Griffin's red side bans Cassiopeia, Lucian, Aatrox, already 2 new bans on the blue side, so a big shift in terms of champion priorities.
Through. You're exactly right.
Aatrox, for example, we know that Tarzan was the one to pop off on Aatrox jungle in the Kesper Cup, and that one has been banned away.
Not going to let that one be seen. Of course, Chovy, Tarzan, and Sword, all great Aatrox players.
Would you ever leave up Aurelia as Hanwha Life? Does it have to be the final ban? Because if so, Griffin can get something really nice.
Yeah.
For a first pick. What do you ban here? Do you consider banning, say, Galio blue side? If you're Griffin, to really amp up the carry matchups for a lot of scenarios, you do. You ban Galio here because you don't want a Lucian versus Galio mid lane situation. You want to get a carry. You want Aurelia versus something squishier on the side of Hanwha Life. But Sion will be left open. You would imagine here, do Hanwha Life just ban Aurelia? That means Lucian goes to Griffin.
Well, they could also ban the Urgot if they wanted to. That's sort of what they're tossing up here at the moment. I would suggest the Aurelia ban. Wouldn't want to throw caution to the wind too far on the Hanwha Life Esports side, and they are going to agree with me, so Urgot is for free for Griffin, theoretically.
Urgot or Lucian, expected first picks here. The Sion, also an interesting one. Sword has been defaulting to that a lot. So those are the 3 picks I'm considering. when it comes to first round. Anything else would be a surprise. Viper got a pentakill, and I would imagine that Chovy and Sword situationally can take the Lucian if needed.
Yep.
So hovering for a while here. Is it mind games? No. We will see the lock-in on the Lucian.
So Lucian going to be the first one, but now what does Hanwha Life get? They get the Urgot. Tal had a great performance, and now Bono, what does he want to lock away for the squad? Is
it ever worth taking Sion over something like Tahm Kench here? Because Sion has been played so well by Sword and can just follow around the Urgot. Tahm Kench would be the more reliable. They actually will go for a Victor here. I guess this is to salvage bot lane, as a farm lane is what Victor gets against Syra Khan. Can do the same thing against Lucian. Also the outside chance, it goes into a solo lane for Hanwha Life.
Well, speaking of solo lanes, the Akali once again left available, and Chovy can lock that one in for himself yet again. Sword also has the opportunity of going over towards it. Now Griffin can consider grabbing a support or maybe just the Sion, and they'll run it back and do it again.
I think you definitely take the Sion. Chovy and Sword have both shown amazing performance on this. Titanic Hydrosterix AD Sion in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And then Sword just doing his Sion Speedway thing again and again. So Griffin go with what worked when it comes to the solo lanes, although that was only in teamfights, we should recall.
Yes.
Hanwha Life, again, if you want first round support or jungle, the real high tier list stuff, this is your last time to take it. Kench will fall down in priority. And the Xin Zhao, well, Bono and all the power that Halo Blade Xin Zhao provides really ran the show against Tarzan, and now you get to stop banning junglers as well.
Yeah, now he can decide to take it into whichever matchup he wants, get rid of some of the other options. Tarzan, of course, able to play basically everything, but will he actually try and fight fire with fire, as Bono says, you're not going to do it on the Viking.
So matchups into Xin Zhao. I think Halo Blade Xin Zhao beats basically every meta 2v2. It's really, really powerful. Maybe a Kindred if you get the drop, but again, Xin Zhao can burst you down. It's very tricky to work out a skirmishing choice. So then you go to conventional logic and say, Sejuani, and avoid it. Would you really do that 2 games in a row after getting dominated as Tarzan? So I'm so interested to see if he would go Sejuani again, because remember, Zac was banned in game number 1, kind of a cold ban. It wasn't even on the cards, at least based on what was there. Would you dare be even more brazen and say, let's just take Zac? As Griffin sounds very, very scary as the Ornn ban, amusingly.
Immediately following the Braum ban, which is what you've been calling for, Papa. Everyone projecting that they want to pick up the Braum, so... Sorry, the Ornn by banning away the Braum and finally Griffin to punish.
I just wish I could be in CV Max's head to understand.
So does everyone.
Does he ban Braum to not take a second jungle ban from Hanwha Life? Because the moment you ban Braum, Hanwha Life say, oh wait, right, yes, Ornn, and they ban it. Ornn's support is still only a sometimes thing, so there's no guarantee it'd be locked in, but it's enough to draw no second jungle ban from the side of Hanwha Life, so support's needed on both sides.
And remember, Zac was banned in game number 1. Likely that Griffin could throw Tarzan on that one if he wants to. A difficult matchup, of course, into the Xin, but Tarzan has been good at avoiding things like that, as there's the Thresh for Key, one of his best champions.
Would have been really weird to see blind pick Alistar after all of this, because the laning phase can be a struggle. We're thinking it's Victor Thresh, but we don't know for sure. That's being flexed to last pick. So when it comes to blind pick support, a lot of good to think about.
Yep, and of course the flex actually goes really, really far here for Hanwha Life Esports. I like how they've really kept things pretty ambiguous. As Fiddle's going to get locked in. Lehens to take that one alongside the Lucian, and that is one hell of an aggressive lane.
Played a lot of it in solo queue, the Aftershock Fiddle. Going to be the support choice here. If it was jungle, I think I might just take off the headset. That'd be too insane
Your
for
original
me.
favorite pick?
Yeah, my first main when I was leveling was Fiddlesticks 9 years ago. Time goes fast. Nocturne jungle, so this is Tarzan's actual first pick when it came to LCK games. Remember that the Griffin special, this is a long time ago, was Nocturne Shen every game, just to ult people to death right at the start of spring.
Oh, do it, Lava.
This would be bold, but it is a champion he performs on. I wonder if we end up with Sion mid into this, because remember LeBlanc will be going mid lane, one way or the other. Considers his options and actually will change and go to Malzahar. Let's think about this Malzahar. A cleanse Akali won't be as slippery as she was in game number 1 if we do see mid lane Akali. This would lead to some adjustments here, and we'll need to know at 20 seconds. My first thought is, yes, you don't feel great about it, but you do go mid lane Akali. against the Malzahar. Interesting pivot here from Hanwha Life. It does mean that early ganks from Xin Zhao mid lane are more potent post-6 because before Cleanse wasn't even drawing cooldowns out of Chovy. But Malzahar has only been seen one time from Pawn, and flattered to deceive. We do see it, and it does mean physical damage pretty low on the side of Hanwha Life. Lane priority is what they're looking for to allow Bono to take over the jungle matchup again, because the one thing that stays the same is it's Bono on a skirmishing jungler where the early levels, it's level 6 power farm versus strong agency jungler. Let's see if Hanwha Life can come close to the sort of pattern we saw in game number 1 to try to set up another early game for them to push forward with.
Yeah, and I feel like teamfights can actually look relatively similar on the side of Griffin, but the Nocturne's going to change things, and the Fiddlesticks, the Crowstorm that can threaten, will also make things a little bit different. But solo lane's looking the same, and we know that that late game's going to be very scary. However, this change-up really has changed things a lot for Hanwha Life Esports as well. I mean, the Akali not going to be as safe. Nethergrasp is going to come down, and then you can chuck a Chaos Storm on top of it. A lot of abilities that don't need targeting.
And teamfighting is actually quite messy. It's more of a pick comp into Baron than an actual ability to 5v5 team fight. Not much chase potential either. We'll talk about it more in-game. But a curious last-second decision. Let's see what it means for game number 2.
Hear from the fans. Raised voices here for Hanwha Life as Griffin make their way towards the bottom side of the map. There's Lehens on his fiddle.
No mana flow ban to just E down the enemy, and can charge this one up so fast in solo queue because you basically just E off cooldown. You wait for the mana flow ban to be up, and then mana stain is not a problem, so less about just relentless harassment. 3 levels E into max Q is pretty common, so we'll see what Lehens' skill order will be. You mentioned the Crowstorm. I feel like that's so far from away the most relevant ability on Fiddle, the Aftershock proc on the Q, and Terrify in general. That's what it's all about. But if we see a pop-off Crowstorm, I'll be happy to see that as well.
It'll be exciting. Of course, not going to have a whole lot of damage to his name, so you're right. A little bit of an odd one to draw attention to.
You also die so fast against a Victor Thresh because the death sentence is hit, and then Thresh, you know, the moment he comes in and you plop a Victor on top, Fiddle's pretty squishy and goes down. You're going to get to see the Keystones. Cool, we're going to actually see the full runes here. Not jungle, so we can't talk about Futures Market, but pretty much parity on both sides.
Yeah, basically the same thing. Aftershock taken by both of them, which makes some sense. But Minion Dematerializer versus the Biscuits is going to be what really changes things up.
Small laning thing. Lehens was actually able to draw aggro of the minion wave as it approaches, so that does mean it'll push out. However, with the bouncing of the silence here, lane control with a Fiddle, always a frustrating thing for the AD carry on both sides.
Yeah, the Birdie's going to fly on through. We've known Fiddlesticks been in the game for a long time, and that's always been annoying.
Dark Wind is just a frustrating ability
It is.
to deal with in lane. In the jungle, it was always something that was in a much more normal state, but in lane, you're just bouncing everywhere and trolling people on your team and the enemy team.
Well, Bono is going to come up towards the top side. He's going to be spotted on vision as the sweeper is going to tell him exactly what's going on. Sword most likely not going to go down to any ganks over here, as the Rift Scuttler is an option for the Xin. Going to be taken here on the bottom side as well with all the information that was given, so Tarzan going to be able to pick that one up for himself as Corrosive Charge lands onto Sword, but he hits level 2 and is able to shield himself up just fine.
Mind game in the mid lane is, can you ever force Chovy post Malzahar 6 to use his Shroud? Because the moment the Shroud is on cooldown, then of course flash ult into the Xin Zhao joining is pretty much academic. The big mind game there.
We saw Pawn have a really rough time on the Malzahar in the Kesper Cup last time we saw it. Wasn't exactly the pick that they wanted to see, but Lava has been having a great season so far, even if this lane is difficult in the earlier stages.
I'm always a pretty big skeptic on the Malzahar because there's just no finesse about the pick, given that it's all about the Flash R. And people as talented as Lava, who we saw win MVP so deservedly on the LeBlanc last time out. It's going to be very much about the macro game around the Malzahar. Best thing about Malzahar, as a counterpoint, it always does what it says on the tin, which is the suppression.
Yes.
But this is a level 3 bot lane gank by Nocturne.
Yep, and that is going to be the Terrify all too easy as Tarzan flashes out of the way. Sungyun wants to try and get on top of him, but that's First Blood. Special delivery over to Viper.
Don't see that one every day, the level 3 turret dive Nocturne, but it pulled off. He had the control over the movement speed shrine around the wrist guard, also gets away scot-free and draws a teleport, so even Sword gets a preferential back timing.
Yeah, Tal going to have a rough time getting back to this lane as well, loses out on that entire minion wave. We're going to have a look at it again. Tarzan just wanders forward. It's all about Lehens, just gets the drain, and that's all she wrote.
After a high-octane game like game number 1, we talked about how this could be a rollover from Hanwha Life. We didn't talk about the other side of the coin is, if you cheese them after you pulled off that steal away like game number 1, then it's really easy to inflict some pain. And speaking of pain, Bono says, screw that, I want to gank bot.
Yep, Death Ray coming in here is key, looking to try and grab himself a hook onto Lehens. Terrify comes down, it means he can't get rid of the Hail of Blades. Zinzao, meaning the flash, comes out.
Only a single summoner drawn. Viper gets away with using nothing. That was the right way to play there. No key death sentence to Flash, and then a very easy flash follow from Bono. They get to turret with the minimum economy of summoners used. Return to mid lane, just happy pushing times.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the items just quickly. We don't really do the inventory all that often, but Viper just started with a corrupting pod, so wanting to spam his abilities a lot more and have a little bit more sustain in this lane against a little bit more potential harass with Death Rays flying left, right, and center.
If you think about the why of that, I guess if you want to ensure that you can push and healthily dive at level 3, Corrupting Potion's probably the most min-max way to do that. Doran's Shield regen is going to on command give you full health, full mana for an early trade. Very, very interesting choice, because remember that Lucian already goes for lifesteal, and when we've seen, say, Ezreal versus a mage bot lane, we always said, okay, you go Sheen so you can trade pretty well, or you go for a mainline of the Bilgewater. It was like both ultra defense, but also in this case, like we saw, ultra offense in going the Corrupting Potion style.
Well, Tarzan going to be spotted on Vision. Once again, Hanwha Life are doing a great job holding Vision here on this map, but this time it's the gold lead eking further forward for Griffin. Having no hyper carry on the bottom side means that the Lucian is now in a whole lot of control, especially with the added regen of the lifesteal with the Bilgewater Cutlass that he's picked up. It's the only item that he got on the way home. Sungyun couldn't get himself the next upgrade on his Hex Core, which feels the absolute worst. Every Victor's worst nightmare is not quite getting there. And he does have the Dark Seal as well as an Amp Tome, but not what he wants.
Very interesting jungle move from Tarzan, still level 5. He wasn't looking for another turret dive. He walks in just to use the plant, which reveals his position, as we know. But he uses it defensively, mostly to confirm for Griffin their vision lead on the bot side to stop plays like this from being effective. The vision's changed, the control ward is down, but very much trying to allow Fiddlesticks and Lucian to overextend, because again, Fiddlesticks support, you really only overextend.
Yep, Dark Wind going to fly forward yet again. Just softening up this minion wave as Bono decides that means that he can come back down again. That wave pushing towards Hanwha Life Esports is... There's the Lantern. It's going to be taken as Key flashes forward. Lands the hook. Gravity Field's there, and that is a dead Fiddlesticks. But Bono may take one back down to about 100 health as a teleport. Going to come in maybe a little bit late, but it is going to get cancelled. Tal gets in there, has to flash to get himself out, but is successfully able to stop Sword from paying a visit.
That would have been some kills on the chase there. Ultimate available for Sword. Tal flashes, like you say, to interrupt it, but in the meantime, ultimate drawn out of Sword. I assume that was Tal under turret. A lot happens, a lot of trying to make sense of the madness here. But at the end of the day, an answering kill is an important one for Hanwha Life to not roll over in the early game.
Yep. Viper doesn't die, so he's able to pick up this wave underneath the turret. But let's have a look at this one yet again. Key lands the hook on demand.
It's always going for Lehens here because his summoner is down from the previous gank. Good stuff there. Will we see a replay of the top side interrupt here? We will not. Let's get straight back into game. But we piece it together and say, Tal is the one that has to blow his summoner to stop anyone going down on the side of Hanwha Life.
Yeah, he's got the Ignite on the top side of the map, so as far as any 1v1 situation, he's going to be in a great position, but Tarzan might be able to pay a visit. Try and capitalize on the lack of Escape Summon spell.
AC joining us for the first time in the 2019 season. You can't cancel TP, so that is how we know. The summoner also tells you that you don't just randomly flash and the enemy's TP stop. That's not how it works.
Nope. I think he actually just disdained in and then flashed to get out
Very
the
possible.
other side, as we saw.
Very possible. This is another invade onto Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan actually in a whole host of trouble. Paranoia not going to be utilized as Bono just Halo Blades him to death. Chovy diving forward as Key, able to limp his way out, the flash through as Chovy picks up that kill, but the fight continues. Lava gets himself the ultimate, Nethergrasp to death as Sword turns into zombie form. They're looking for Tal, they pick it up as Sword in the zombie takes down the Urgot and his opposite half. 3-3 now the kill score.
Yeah, we're very much going even in these sort of escapades. Lahen's being there. The Darkwind at the end actually solo zoned the two on the exit. Malzahar and Xin took 300 damage each and decided to fully disengage. Let's watch the replay here. It's all about trying to hold down Tarzan on these level 6 junglers, and I wonder if this is a blueprint to punish some of Tarzan's favorite jungle choices.
Yeah, as Chovy just looks at Key and he falls down. But Hanwha are going blow for blow with Griffin, and as you can see, it's fun to watch.
I get tilted every time by the Darkwind. When you get the 5-man bounce there, you get a lot of value. The Hen's on his roam, doesn't lose any CS from Viper, who between the Corrupting Potion and the Bilgewater is in a small CS lead over Victor.
Well, Key in a lot of trouble here. The hook goes completely wide, and Tarzan easily just gets rid of him. Maybe a brain fade coming out of the Thresh.
Key, as you say, it's too far up, and no ultimate needed for Tarzan. They get that kill. That'll extend the advantage bot side. Could also mean a Cloud Drake if Griffin want to start it.
Yeah. Well, Hen's moved up, but not going to be started just yet. Chaos Storm going to be used Doinby style to just deter Griffin from taking away any of the turret plating. Bono down here as well.
Amusingly, Viper, one auto on the turret would have got the turret plating, but went for the trade first, thinking he would back off with a passive auto and the quick draw back, or the E back, Relentless Pursue back. Instead, has to wait a little bit longer, but it will inevitably happen on the bot side. So hard to fully take turret plates from a Victor. Again, Victor bot lane against Xayah Rakan, and now increasingly Lucian, means you just hang back, wave clear, and look, maybe you're not going to get any kills on the enemy, but you're not going to lose your turret, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Does get one of the plates, does Viper, but like you say, it's more about not being able to get any more than that in general. I was after a pick on the support at the same time.
The other reason that they actually were able to salvage the invade pretty decently is that Malzahar only had ult range at the start onto Chovy. He rushed QSS, no way to kill him. On the top side, Tarzan's here, so is Bono, and they're turning on to Bono.
Yeah, it's not even a counter gank anymore, as he does get healed up just a bit, but Bono's just dead. You don't go out very well. As in the mid lane, you got a Crow Storm as Lava gets ulted by Chovy, but not going to get taken down just yet. He uses his Nether Grasp, but Lava is going to survive.
Nice sidestep there from Tarzan. Means he doesn't have to use his stopwatch, border stopwatch, for future-proofing. You get the kill topside, can't finally finish off Lava. But when the map starts to go away from your control, and there's a QSS on the Akali, this is where the linear nature of Malzahar can mean that he's just second to a lot of things and thus can't impact the skirmishes.
Well, Key as well, level 6 and looking very squishy on this Thresh that's pretty anemic this game. 100% of the team's deaths do belong to Key. So we're going to have a look at this one once again. Felt like a counter gank, but it was turned into just a gank by Tarzan and Sword.
Bono is on the squishier champion also. The Audacious Charge was the only escape thing available for the Xinjiao. He could only go into Scion, so he knows that the ult will hit him. And thus they'll have enough damage, so good play calling there from Griffin. Go back to the bot lane. For now, the most uninteractive lane, and surprise, Sangyun's wave clear.
Yeah. And Lahen's down here as well, just waiting to be frustrating, as that's a culling, as Viper actually takes the paw into that trade after taking a death ray for it. It's okay. Hanwha just happy to clean out the minion waves. And Griffin doing the same thing. 21 CS. It's going to be the lead, and that means Viper does have that Blade of the Ruined King and some brown bags to augment it.
What we've learned about Griffin is the supporting cast is so much stronger than just, if you remember, the first half of 2018 summer was what new pick will Viper carry on? Wow, he can play all these different champions. 2 games on Marksman. Good cleanup in game number 1, but the supporting cast around Chovy, Tarzan, and Sword have all had really big games since the start of their 13-0 run at the start of Kesper Cup. Happy to just be farming a 20 CS lead. We know that the Lucian at 2 items will always do his thing.
He certainly will. Well, Kindle Gem done here for Tarzan, who does have that paranoia back off cooldown. Chovy having a much better time here in the mid lane. 21 CS in the lead, ahead of the clock. As far as that farm, he's just free farming on the Akali, has his QSS, and is very close to that Hextech Gunblade as he dives forward just to get rid of Lava's passive. Lava needs to be much more honest.
If you're any greedier with the QSS time, if you didn't rush it, then a scenario like this where there's control wards bot side means Chovy can never even walk up. With the QSS, he's not afraid of Malzahar. Key and Bono in vision means that Chovy continues to dart around.
Yep, being very cheeky as he gets into his shroud, but now that it's on cooldown, Hanwha Life may need to be respected from the Akali, who moves on in, looking to clear out vision. These three members here, Chovy doesn't actually know what's going on, as Bono's like, why is he being so aggressive? And pops his sweeper.
4 control wards were until now present around the mid lane. 1 cleared away from Chovy, 1 top side, still 2 on the bottom side. Tarzan contesting this ward. Key's still here.
Yeah, hook is going to land. The box is down. Nice double play, actually, as Chovy now uses the Shroud. Has the ultimate available as Tarzan just uses the ult to get himself out. And look at that burst! The double stopwatches immediately, but they are not going to save you now. Lava in trouble. Ardently blazed to death on the back end. And Griffin, 8-3 now, starting to run away with the game.
Every team fight advantage from Hanwha Life always turns into a puzzle where you have to work out with the pause. How do Griffin come ahead on this one? Very smart to turn onto Victor on the way out. It resets the positioning, and then the free farmed Illusion can turn almost one combo the front 3. Goodbye to the Drake, goodbye to the health bars, and how about a mid lane outer turret to open up a big gold lead for Griffin?
Yeah, this is Illusion with 1 item. Imagine what's going to happen when he picks up a second. This is real scary, and it just feels like Griffin play around the timings of Viper in a lot of these fights. And even in the last game, they only came online when the Kai'Sa did. It was a very different story then, but now with so much more agency to begin the game, Viper is already a force to be reckoned with. That's why Illusion sees so many bans here in the LCK as Bono wants to try and take down Sword. Good flash in the way of the unstoppable onslaught, but Sword's still so tanky. Uses the stopwatch just to waste a whole bunch of time here and gets the cooldown back.
Stopwatch means there's no kill pressure onto Sign. I think there was a half an emote there too, as Sword feels good about that one. That is the correct time to use the stopwatch because there's no kill pressure when Fear Beyond Death is on cooldown. Let's watch the replay here. Tarzan, no vision, so we'll get hit by the hook. He goes into stasis and you think, okay, Hanwha Life, they're outnumbering. Out of the fight, going on to the Victor, and then can disengage, and still it looks like a fight won by the enemy, but Chovy's second half of his ultimate into Viper free hitting and Lahen's damage means that the Ardent Blaze takes down Lava. Pretty lit stuff there from Griffin in that particular team fight, and now we reassess a 4,000 plus gold lead.
Yeah, it's real scary, because Griffin came back from a 9,000 gold deficit, and now, as far as the difference, that's close to 15,000 gold that Griffin have to work with. Definitely feeling like the game that we were expecting to watch in Griffin versus Hanwha Life. Didn't get it in game number 1, but it's looking pretty clinical here in game number 2. Hanwha have some tools. You can certainly wave clear for days. They have lockdown on a single target that's very effective as Chovy uses his Shroud, goes back to it with backflip second cast.
But your heart goes out to Hanwha Life because if they were following a recipe to beat Griffin, you taste this recipe, it's pretty close to exactly what it was supposed to be. They followed that recipe really close, Atlas. And yet, in the final, they just weren't able to do it. They've been so good on so many different metrics of League of Legends, but so good hasn't been enough to actually inflict that first best-of-1 loss onto Griffin. Not out of this game yet, but you feel like if one more skirmish goes the way of Griffin, they could blow it out of the water.
Yep. It's like you created that perfect meal, but on that day, someone made a souffle of incredible prowess, and you lost that particular episode's minigame of MasterChef. It's just bad news.
Zooming out a little bit to understand the defense of this Rift Herald, looking too tricky after the early game misfires. Viper and Tarzan duoing down to pick up that one Tarzan topside because it's already taken the bot lane turret. We back away. The Rift Herald picked up a lot later than game number 1. I think that was around 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is the norm. Pre-14 minutes contesting the Rift Herald was the meta in Casper Cup. We walk up, but we're between item spikes. No perfect Hex Core or Ludens completed onto Sangyun. Lava's threat, not that big onto Akali, and the moment the paranoia goes down, pretty hard to flash ult the right target. How do Hanwha Life find a way back in? Cribbing a note from Griffin's playbook in game number 1 is recommended.
Yep, and this is a team now that has Quadra bounties, 450 on the support and jungle, and then Viper and Chovy. The damage deal is sitting at 600. You can tell this gold lead starting to get out of hand. Very close to picking up that Oblivion Orb, where Chovy's just going to have all of the magic penetration on top of his core item. In the Hextech Gunblade, got basically everything that the Akali wants. Already was doing so much damage in those fights when that Oblivion Orb comes in. It's going to be a huge spike in power and damage available for Chovy on this Akali.
If Griffin can actually put Hanwha Life down, as we just see some nice little moves from Chovy. Next match against Damwon Gaming is Damwon Gaming's first match of the week. That's going to be on Friday. Valdez and I will be casting that one. That's the last game before the SKT match, so very interesting to see if Griffin can back up an impressive performance. They were required to pull out one of those magic tricks in game number 1. Damwon's right up there at the top. They'll come in undefeated 2-0 when that match happens.
Yeah.
And then that big SKT clash comes in. Can Griffin actually come into the SKT match unbeaten in best of 1s, let alone best of 3s? Right now he's trying to say yes, but there's so many twists and turns left both in this game and that Damwon series.
Yeah, and also, I mean, bringing up the Damwon series, I mean, which is going to be the most exciting? The most information we have is that SKT looked damn dominant, but we have to remember back to Kesper Cup, it was Damwon that was the team that kicked out the Dream Team. So
we've seen Damwon Griffin recently. It was 3-0 Griffin.
Yep. We
saw Damwon SKT at 2-1 beside Damwon Gaming, but now in form, now in the LCK. Like you say, which one is the main course, which one is the entree? We'll find out soon.
Exactly. Bono going to be able to get rid of that control ward as Hanwha Life Esports are doing their very best to hold on to any semblance of control around this map. Top lane outer turret still standing, but holding on by a thread.
But the problem now is, you look at the 5,500 gold lead. Again, there was a bigger one for Hanwha Life in the last game. You still saw a fight where somehow Kai'Sa popped up. It was unlikely, but it could happen. Problem here is, all the extra gold is spent on note buttons. Double QSS is done. Stopwatch is done on the Fiddlesticks. Guardian Angel onto Nocturne. And if Malzahar's ulting Sion, something else has gone wrong. So
yes, exactly.
Malzahar Victor feels pretty toothless at this power juncture from behind, and that is what Hanwha Life have to wield.
And if Lava is ulting the Fiddlesticks, Lehen's the only option as far as killing a target with that Nether Grasp, then something's gone obviously very, very wrong. So Hanwha Life, it's looking like almost the impossible task of trying to win a team fight. However, we said similar things about what Griffin was faced with, and with this meta being so snowbally, being able to get out of control and out of your hands so quickly, it looked like Hanwha Life had game number 1 in the bag, but that was proven to be not the case. Can they turn this one around is now the big question, and all signs pointing to no. You can never say never.
Never say never, but never let your vision fall off around Baron. Baron turn from Griffin is very strong. Their Baron damage is decent. Don't have anyone to tank it when Sion is split pushing.
Tank it.
They can trade tank it, but that's pretty risky right there. And the drain tank with level 1 is going to be an endeavor, we'll say. Watching here, Griffin is much more about the turn than the burn. And they're going to put down the Rift Herald to start at least going to contest this vision and give Hanwha Life a lot of different decisions to consider.
Yeah, Chovy now tasked with clearing out this minion wave. Should be able to do so quite nicely as he dashes forward onto Sungyun. Just try and get rid of some of this damage. And Rift Herald going to set himself up for a charge. And HLE gets in there. It's that minimum damage down, which is a lot, as you can see.
But what happened? What did we mention? Control wards go down as HLE has to be responded
Storm
to.
Comes in, and Bono veered back into the team. Viper easily culls him down as now Chovy with the ultimate is in there. Does have the other charge as he dives forward. Paranoia gets rid of Sungyun on the back end. And now Lava, everybody else in the death chamber, sword running at him. There's not going to be too many options as he just cancels a bunch of auto attacks. Lava is chased underneath the turret. Is it now Baron time?
And this is what happens when Griffin are ahead. They had them exactly where they wanted them purely because 1 led to 2, led to 3. This recipe was oh so clean. Nicely done by Griffin. And like you say, Atlas, they're definitely going to start it, and I don't really see how Hanwha Life can stop them.
Yep, Lehens was trying to drain tank it. Shout-outs to him. But it's not quite going to help, as like you say. Level 1, not going to give you a whole bunch of health back, but that's going to be that. Chovy able to tank that one up. He's got a lot of ability to regen, and Viper has a lot of damage with the Blade of the Ruined King, and at 23 minutes on the dot, they take down the Baron, and Griffin look to break open the base.
The Rift Herald is plonked down to actually push up control wards. They have to check for Baron vision. Xin Zhao dies before you can even pronounce his entire name, and then they have the ability to spot down Victor, get the bonus kill, 3-for-0 and a Baron, and all because of the Rift Herald being placed at 21 minutes by Griffin.
Yep. Not even any chance of Tal teleporting into that fight because the fight was over by the time he got word of it.
One oldie but a goodie is the brush camp.
Yeah, here we are, the Fnatic special. Back in the day.
Different brush, but you'll take it.
Yep.
Fnatic Brush was the one above the team, the one they're in right now, in case you guys are wondering.
Okay, Chovy, he's going to be able to get out here as well, so Hanwha Life Esports unable to find anything with their surprise group up. And Griffin are going to take their Baron to the mid lane and say, where did my enemy go? They're on the bottom side of the map, trying to gank.
Back to 3-lane pushing. Full court press can happen now from Griffin. Sion, unkillable. Akali, very good at killing.
Yep.
And they push through as a 3-man call with Nocturne to back up, and Steel Camp's on the way. This is where the Gold League gets to silly season. It's almost 10,000. Don't blink, you might miss it. Griffin in full control.
Yep, already 2,000 gold. Baron power play after it's only been active for a minute. Bono looking aggressive, but that's not exactly what you want, as the ultimate is down to avoid the damage of the culling, and Lehans has the Crow Storm in there already. Paranoia has been popped as welcome to the party, Mr. Nocturne. He's got the Guardian Angel, so he ain't going to die anytime soon, and neither is Sword. Man, look at him tanking up all of this damage, but does have to flash his way out, and they will grab that kill as Tal diving on forward. The zombie Sion trying to get work done, and Hanwha Life Esports aren't going to lose anyone and defend their inner turret.
It's a true 4v5, and they continue to re-engage to Griffins. They give back a kill. Unnecessary there, but it does allow the pushing to continue on the side of Griffin. They will not lose any objectives by being a bit too emblazoned under the turret.
Yeah, they managed to get this inhibitor turret most likely as well, as this siege minion is going to be down. Chovy has a lot of sneakiness, diving on forward, and Bono didn't last a couple of seconds. He's going 1v4. Lava's going to be the first one to go down. Flashes out Onion is going to be tagged up, but no backflip going to be reactivated. And Chovy, the 2-for-0 1v4.
Maybe the Irelia and Akali bans need to come from Chovy. Holy guacamole on that one. No swear words from me, just a back off from Chovy. Nice KDA Akali, you're doing it justice.
Exactly right. I feel like the swear words were in that play, Papa Smithy.
Yeah.
No need from us.
Because remember, there's no way for Akali to join. It's a Ignite Akali. Ignite is on cooldown. She's still on the bot side. The play continues. All of Viper's time is wasted on the now stasis Urgot. So no damage out of Urgot to begin this one. No ability for Fear Beyond Death to arm, but Lucian does nothing. And it's 4v5. It only ends up being a single kill. It's the tail end of this play where Chovy decides, hey, no ult on Bono, right? Let me go in. Goes in a true 1v4. And let's see what he gets. He gets 2 kills, a flash. It's in trade, I guess, from Sangyun, but Sangyun gets away. CV Max just
CV
laughing
Max's
in the backlines. Holy, holy, holy.
Well, Chovy's pretty damn good at this League of Legends video game, Papa Smithy. That's what we learned. 4-0-6, 3-0-5 for Viper as well. The Lucian's doing a great job and now has the Essence Reaver for the true gigantic 3-item power spike.
And the thing about the play is, if you watch the replay, stick it on Reddit, people are like, wait, he was like 5 levels up on the Xin Zhao. Xin has no ult, why are you going forward? The thing about Griffin is, and what we've noticed, again, they talk about their wordless communication, that part I can only speculate to. Their ability to update to where is the game situation right now. Do we have a chance? How do we win a team fight? Who needs to engage where? Chovy just read the scenario, read the cooldown, something Uzi always talked about, who went to tumble in on the Vayne, and made the right play. That was the right play there. He had more agency than first appeared based on numbers, but 4 beats 1 is something that's beat into you in MOBAs. It's so different from an FPS. You can't just have great aim and kill everyone. You have to read a situation. And the fact that he read the situation so deftly is what should be praised.
Absolutely. And he's now just trying to take down this inhibitor on his own. No one willing to try and take him down. Overshield there as well. Not even able to dent through that one. It's the minions that are capable as 4 versus 1. Again. Let's see it again. Not going to happen. Not biting off more than he can chew as Swords pushing it on the top side. Got Nocturne and Lucian in the mid lane, throwing minions towards this turret, and the war of attrition is looking so difficult for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, well, look at us zoom out just to understand that war of attrition. We're on Tal.
Yep, Viper now has the culling popped. Wants to utilize that Essence Reaver if he can as the train flies forward. Chovy slowed down, does have himself the Shroud there, but who cares? There's so much damage in for Griffin. A couple of kills coming through on the back end, but the damage is still alive, and it's a triple kill. It's a full house. It's going to be Vipers full of Chovies, and they will take down this inhibitor and most likely win the game.
And the damage was done earlier in the game, Atlas. They broke the sails of Hanwha Life. Valiant performance, but the end score is still a 0-2. They deserved better, but they got nothing.
They didn't. that we were watching, we know that Hanwha had a great game one. They fell over, but not quite as badly as you could expect after that performance. And Griffin, it's the 2-0, but you have to have watched the series to understand what this 2-0 actually means.
Somehow, even though Griffin made some pretty significant mistakes in game number one, early game, you still somehow come away more afraid of Griffin.
Yeah.
Because they were made to fight for it. Previously, it was Jin Air rolled over, and yes, they were able to win on the first day. But what we saw in this match from Griffin, when they needed to, when they were actually forced to, was another level. We've been calling how Griffin is on another level, and then it's just another thing to see it. One thing to say it, another thing to see that when they have to reach for a further level, there seems to be an 11 out of 10. Is there further? Is there a 12, 13, 14 out of 10? Maybe on another day, maybe on the 31st of January against SK Telecom T1, we will see that. They did what was needed, and once again, they only received the minimum. The minimum for Griffin is a 2-0.
Yeah, feels like this team, even when they look borderline beaten, they're unbeatable. CV Max, his grin from the booth when we watch that outplay symbolizes exactly what this team is. They're just out of control, and it's hard to define exactly how good they are. Saw them fail to make Worlds in their debut season, but now 2019 really does feel like year of the Griffin.
But yet, tell that to someone that watched 30 minutes of game one and then real life took over and they had to leave.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the amazing thing about Griffin, is both for that person and just as a water cooler team, how can you get better than Griffin? Because like I mentioned, walking past the crowd kind of stunned, all with whispers about what they saw in game number one, even on the water cooler, just uncoupling what happened in this game and understanding all of it, and then the outplays that led to the eventual 2-0. It's just such a long word. Even I would be struggling to tell that in one sentence without needing a sip of water, because the story, it's a tall tale. You have to see it to believe it. And every time Griffin play, whether it's against Jin Air and you say, I wonder how they're going to just really slam them, or against, now we know, Hanwha Life, a true contender, how are they going to just eke out a victory out of the claws of defeat? There's always a story, and Griffin always do it in a stylish manner.
And we'll see exactly what does happen when they face their next opponents. Damwon Gaming and SKT are going to be the next ones because, of course, our 2-0 teams from week one will be facing one another. SKT's run is going to be a real tough one as well. They've got Sandbox tomorrow, but then it's Damwon Gaming, it's Griffin, it's all of these top teams that they have to go up against. Griffin, the same thing. First test almost was failed.
And Damwon are the ones that drew the short straw this week. It was Jin Air last week, it's Damwon this week. SKT and Griffin in the same week for Damwon Gaming, who look like one of our contenders. We're going to watch the replay of Game 2. Nice move onto Lehens to begin this play when his flash was down. These were better times for the side of Hanwha Life. Nice interrupt. We're going to see the replay finally. I understand this one. You're right. It was the opening with the E and then the flash required to get away from an ult under turret. But even in moments like this, Griffin were able to trade evenly. Imagine a different game where Chovy didn't rush the QSS. He gets caught by Malzahar in transition, and they lose out on 2, 3 kills. Playing to your items is important. The QSS early, it's a pretty standard thing, and upside of Akali is you don't have to worry about a lost chapter or mana management to fit in the QSS early.
Yeah, and this, I mean, Hanwha Life Esports were making plays. They were making things happen, but you just can't account for Chovy doing a bajillion damage coming out of his shroud. Look at that burst on 4 people. Straight into the culling. No one had any options of doing anything.
To be fair, I feel like the one thing Griffin is guilty of is account irregularity. I'm not convinced if the IRS looked at their accounts that all be in order, because we keep taking stock and be like, aha, I think we know who will win. And then Griffin's like, by the way, look at this 100 I've got in my pocket. Ooh, look at this investment offshore. Yeah, it's Viper on the Kai'Sa, 5 kills. Thank you, very nice. Like, they keep having these extra reinforcements you can't account for, and trying to understand and piece that together will drive anyone into madness.
Absolutely. I'm glad I made a card game reference at the end of the game, because it did feel like a bit of a card trick being pulled out, the rabbit out of the hat, you might say, for Griffin, because game 1 shouldn't have been theirs. This game looked a whole lot easier, but you could certainly understand. My heart goes out to Hanwha Life Esports, who came off a brilliant victory against the FLICKR Freaks, who, word on the street, were looking great in their scrims. They deserved better than this, especially this particular player, Chovy. made Akali look about as busted as people think she is.
And if it keeps going like this, maybe we'll have to adjust our language and have things like you were 2-0'd by Griffin or you were 2-0'd by Griffin. Because this was definitely the positive side where I know you can't do it with these young pros tonight. They're going to be frustrated. It's their first match loss of the season. But hopefully there's breathing room and then a positive VOD review for Hanwha. They did so much right in this series, but sadly for them, the game score, the points, they will not reflect it. It is a 2-0. This one, the graph was a lot more on an uptick from the side of Griffin, but...
Yeah, the linear story that we've come to expect from this team. So nothing like game number 1, which Hanwha Esports took a dive on that particular goal graph, having a look at the damage. Massive numbers coming in from Griffin, but it's as you would expect. And Papa Smithy, I have a feeling that Chovy's going to pick up his first MVP.
Deserved, of course,
Absolutely.
for this game. No MVPs for Tarzan. Ning confirmed better. He got 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Tarzan definitely was dictated to in this series, and I think that's something that Damwon Gaming will look at. Maybe Canyon can level up after he was one of the big reasons they lost to Griffin 3-0 so cleanly.
But how is it Bono that gives Tarzan his biggest challenge for 2019?
He plays proactive and he plays it well. Bono was not playing with nameplates on. He was not playing with the history that he struggled with. If I'm going to suggest bans, I want to see Urgot and also the Sion banned against Sword. Get him back on the Jace, because they haven't shown that recently. And right now, they just lap up Sion and Urgot and make the rest happen.
Well, there it is. Chovy is going to be your second MVP for this series. Finally, Tarzan's able to give them away. Viper in game 1, Chovy in game 2. 6-0-7, 1v4. No worries at all. As here's the instant cleanse of the ultimate coming in right now.
Able to go in and pick this one up. He wasn't actually ulted here. It's used by Lava onto the Sion because the QSS is there. So in the end, just to overkill the Sion at the end of the story. Dark Wind, cool damage. But that was not the MVP moment. That was just a good map rotation. This is the one where first he's greedy for the turret, and then he says, wait, what cooldowns are down? I'm going in.
And that ultimate certainly wasn't there from Bono. Lava taken down with that last second Q, and I thought that Chovy was going to go for the full 1v4, but decides to play it cautiously. And yes, cautious by definition is going in 1v4 and killing 2 people. Papa Smithy?
Sometimes you have to redefine terms when the best people play. Chovy's still just 17 years of age. Turns 18 in March. Makes us all feel old because his mechanics pretty on point.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I'm with you, Papa. I want to be just
Pantheon, baby.
But just playing the Pantheon. But guys, these are 2 players that don't play that pick. It is going to be Viper and Chovy, so let's throw it to Ji-sun for the interview translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-sun with today's last interview translation. And today we're get to be joined by new Griffin players, but Tarzan is Viper and Chovy for today's interview. Well, we're lucky to pick the 3rd winning streak.
이겨서 좋네요.
I'm really happy, to be honest. And Chovy, you want to add on to that?
그냥 이겨서 기분 좋네요.
I'm happy that we won. I can see the big smile on your face. So moving on to game 1, we locked in Kai'Sa and did not die once and picked up the pentakill.
솔직히 근데
To be honest,
엄청 좋진 않고요.
not extremely happy.
다 잡았네 하고 그냥.
I was just like, oh yeah, I get to pick up all the kills, and we just won the game.
정말 화끈한 대답이었습니다. 초반에 분명히 조금
In the early
어려운
stage
상황이
game,
있었습니다.
Actually, Hanwha was in a bit of a lead. And Chovy, you got your first death of the whole split. Were you aware of that?
기록을 의식하기보다 항상
Well, I wasn't aware of my KDA, but not dying is the best play, so that was one of my goals. So I was a bit sad when I died. But game 2, you did not die again, so moving on to Viper again. And it was the first turret that enemy took from Griffin. But consecutive teamfight victories kind of made you guys able to take down the Nexus in the end.
네, 이거 라인전을 하고 있었는데.
Well, during the laning phase,
비명 소리가 나길래.
well, I heard some screaming coming out of our jungle.
좀 오래 해야겠다는
So I
생각이
felt like this is gonna be a long game.
서로 이제.
So we had a lot of feedbacks during the games, and we tried to focus on team fights. What did Tarzan say?
그냥 나 좀 말렸다 이 소리.
Tarzan said he's like, Quiet in a
네,
bad
그래서 이렇게
situation,
팀원들이
so
모두
we
힘을
were just
합해서
trying
이렇게
to
멋진
back him up.
장면도 만들어내면서 승리를 가져갔습니다. 바이퍼 선수 이번 LCK 스프링
Viper.
첫 펜타킬입니다.
This is the
네.
first pentakill of the
그래도
split.
아까 조금 그거에 대한 생각은 많이 안 하신다고는 하셨는데 그래도 조금은
How do you
기분
feel
좋으시죠?
about that?
네, 일단 이겼으니까
Well, we did
펜타킬하고
win. We did win.
이겼으니까 좀 좋네요.
And I also got the pentakill, so yeah,
알겠습니다. 자,
I'm pretty
두
happy.
번째 경기에서는 루시안을 선택을
Game
하셨어요.
two, you locked in
자,
Lucian.
작년까지는 루시안으로 3전
But
전패.
Last year,
지금
Lucian
펜타킬
record was
장면이
actually
곧
0-3.
나오겠습니다.
And we can see the pentakill once again here.
소감 한 말씀 부탁드려요. 그래도
One more,
어떤 생각으로 이렇게
one more
그때
comments
좀
about this.
나 달라고 외치셨나요?
Did you ask for the pentakill?
그 저희 탑 소드 선수가
But actually
펜타
Sword,
먹어야 돼, 펜타 먹어야 돼 하면서
He was the one who was
줄여-
telling me to
줄여가더라고요,
pick up the
그래서.
pentakill. I wasn't
그래서.
actually aware of it, but I got the delicious
바이퍼
pentakill in
선수는
the
딱히
end.
욕심은 없었는데 소드 선수가 빨리 먹으라고.
네, 저는 안 죽기만 하면서
Well, my goal was not
어느새
dying,
빠지겠더라고요.
but I was the one who was taking
본인도
down
모르는 사이에
every
펜타킬을
players
달성한
in
바이퍼
the end.
선수였습니다. 자, 바이퍼 선수 펜타킬, 초비 선수는 옆에서 어떻게
Jovi,
보셨나요?
how was his pentakill?
저는 늦게 합류하면서 나 늦었다
Well, I was
늦었다
actually
하면서
joining
가고
team
있는데,
fight quiet late.
도착하니까 다 죽고 있고
When I arrived there, everyone was
소드
was
선수가
dead.
그리고 펜타 줘야 돼 하면서
And Sword was shouting like, "Give him penta, give him penta." So I realized that Viper was getting his
바이퍼
pentakill.
선수를 도와주는 모습 아주 인상적입니다. 자, 그럼 바이퍼 선수가 두 번째 경기에서는
So
루시안을
Viper,
선택하셨어요.
let's
아까도
move on
제가
to game
말씀드렸는데
And you played
작년에는
Lucian.
전패를 하셨는데
But your
올해는
score
전승
last year was
중입니다.
0-3, but
그 사이에
now you're winning all the
루시안에
games on
대해서
Lucian.
애정을 가지고 연습을
How
많이
did you
하신
step
건가요?
up?
그거는 딱히 아니고요. 작년에 제가 루시안 했을 때가
Well,
막
last year,
몰아주기에서
Well,
나름
maybe last year was
때문에.
about funnel
이번
games.
시즌에는 좀 루시안
But
티어가
this
많이
year,
올라서
I think
그냥
Lucian is
사기챔이라서 하고 있어요.
quite like the top
네,
tier
또
champion, so I think
루시안에게
that is the
영광을
main
돌리는
reason why I'm doing so well.
모습이었고요. 네, 초비 선수의 아칼리
And
지금
Chovy,
굉장히 화제가
Akali.
되고 있습니다. 다른 선수들이
Your play
픽했을
was
때는
so
모두
clean and
패했는데
crazy.
초비 선수의 아칼리만 현재 4전
So
전승입니다.
Chovy, your win
초비의
rate is
아칼리는 뭔가
100%.
다르다 이런 말도 있을 정도로 아주 멋진 모습
And the
보여주시는데
fans are saying your
아칼리에
Akali
대해서 자신감이
has
있으신
something
거죠?
different. Do you have high confidence on it?
어떤 챔프를 할 때도 항상 가지고 있고
I have confidence on every champs I play.
제가 4전 전승을 한 거는
Well, I didn't know that
팀원들이 판을
I
잘
got the 4
만들어줘서 운이
victories
좋았다고 생각해요.
out of Akali plays, but I want to thank all the players for supporting me so well.
1대 4를 하는 모습이
But you're actually playing 1v3 on your own.
그 정도는 당연히 해줘야 되는 거라고 생각해서
Well, I have to pull that up naturally because our teammates were doing
도대체
games so
이 팀은
well.
어떤 팀일까요? 이렇게 완벽할 수가 없습니다. 자,
Griffin, you
그리고
guys
바텀
sound
얘기를 또 한번
so
해보면
perfect.
루시안이
And moving on
빅템
to
물량 그리고
bot
W
lane.
선발을 한 걸 저희가 봤습니다.
So
굉장히
you
신박한
mastered W
스트래티지였는데
skill
어떻게
and
이런 생각을
you
하신
had the
거예요?
corrupted
W
potion
세 개까지만
on your
찍고
item.
빅토르가 사정거리가 좀 길어서
Well,
뭔가
Victor
일부러
kind of
한다고
outraged
잘안 나오더라고요,
Lucian,
루시안이.
so I
그래서
wasn't able to
평소처럼 하면은 좀안
damage,
좋을 것
put a
같아서
lot of damage.
템
So I just
물량이랑
want to trade something different with my
더블
item and also
선발하면
my
사거리에서
skill
좀
trees.
그리고 비빌 수 있지 않을까 생각해서 라인도 빨리 밀겸해서
So I was able to push lane
네,
faster,
아주 좋은
and
선택이었던
that
것
was
같고 또
the plan to
푸들과의
counterplay
연기도 아주
against
좋았습니다.
Victor.
네.
네, 원래 스크림
And
때도
there were a lot of
연습을
good
많이
engagement
하던
with
조합인가요?
Fiddlestick.
네,
Did you play that a lot during the
피들스틱을
practice
좀
games?
자주 하더라고요. 저는 개인적으로 좀 싫어하는데.
Well, I had Fiddlestick, but Lins
까만
plays
길을
it a
자꾸
lot
실수하고
during the scrims. I mean, he
네,
it's
근데
too much
뭐 개인
minions with his
당연히
W
했어도 좀잘
with
푸는
the
것 같아서
crowds, but
만족하고 있어.
today was a good game, so I'm kind of
오늘
satisfied.
조합 어떻게 보시나요? 두 번째 경기.
How do you like the bot duo today?
조합은 모르겠고
Lucian
그냥
and
알아서 잘
Fiddlestick.
하겠지 이 생각하고 있었어요.
Well, I wasn't thinking about our
네,
composition
믿음이
actually.
정말
I had a lot of trust on
선량한
them actually.
자, 드래곤아 부시에서 쓰레쉬의 사용 선고가 튀어나왔을 때 초비 선수도 거기 계셨잖아요.
And
이제
Chovy, there was
타잔
team fight
선수가
where
굉장히
he
좋은
opened the team
판단으로
fight with
아래쪽으로
his
뺐어요.
death sentence, but
그때는 어떤
Tarzan made a
서로
really nice
상황에
decision
콜이
going out of
있었나요?
getting
아니면
out of
타잔
the
선수의 반응이었나요?
team fight using his ultimates. Whose shot call was that?
부시에 뭐가 있는 건 알았는데 그게
We knew somebody would have been there, but I actually didn't know it would be, it could be Thresh.
이 상황은
But it was a really smart play on Tarzan, and there was no specific call about this.
커버해준 것 같아요.
I think we were just playing
네,
our
지금
best
화면으로
at that
만나고
moment.
계신데 정말 멋진 장면이었습니다. 다음 경기 챌린지스 코리아 출신 담원 게이밍.
So your next opponent will be Damwon Gaming from Challengers Korea.
제2의 그리핀이 되는 것 아니냐.
People like
그런
calling
길을
them
가는
the
것
next
아니냐 하는
Griffin.
얘기가 있는데 담원과의 게임에 임하는 각오.
So, are you ready for the Damwon matchup?
늘 그래왔던 것처럼
As
저희가
always.
2대0으로 이기겠습니다.
We're gonna pick up 2-0 victory.
네, 멋진 각오였고요. 초비 선수는요?
And Chovy,
그렇게 하면
why did you
저도
say
2대0으로
that?
이길 생각하고
Uh, I'll do my best to pick up 2-0 victory as well.
선수들이 지금 화면 보고 깜짝 놀라실 것
Maybe
같아요.
players would be a little bit worried for their upcoming series. And this will be the end of the interview with Viper and Chovy from Griffin. Thank you.
네, 오늘의 MVP 두 분과 함께했습니다. 저희는 내일
Chovy
돌아올게요.
and of course Viper there as well. Chovy maybe not agreeing with Viper on how easy that series is going to be.
I think the issue there is it was such a good interview with Showmaker out there where he said he wants to win his first ever game because Damwon Gaming have never taken a single game, off of Griffin. They played with them in Challenger in spring last year, Kesper Cup as well. Not a single game win there, Atlas. So it sounds like a bold word, and honestly, Viper is one of the most self-confident players we have, despite being a young 18-year-old AD carry prodigy, and yet, could you really blame him for being honest? And Damwon Gaming would do well to pick up a single game over Griffin.
Yeah, you can put them into a game where they're 9,000 gold behind at the 30-minute mark and he'll still win it for you. So I can understand he's earned that confidence most definitely, but today showed that there's a great comment actually on Reddit that I read. It showed that Griffin can almost bleed. Haven't quite bled a game just yet, but they got damn close.
Or they can bleed and they have the Wolverine-style exoskeleton. They just come together, right? They seem to get stronger. Maybe they got annoyed
Some
by
vibranium platings in there somehow.
What if the bleeding just encourages them to play better, Atlas, as Griffin have done no on-paper bleeding. They have not lost a single game. 3-0 to open the season. They reach 4-0, and if SKT join them, we have a hell of a match next Thursday between the two.
Well, Sandbox Gaming also back-to-back 2-0s last week, and they are tied truly with SKT, and that will be our first match tomorrow. So exciting to see exactly what is going to happen there. It's likely that SKT will be able to take that one because on paper, they feel like the stronger team, but Sandbox might be able to surprise, just like Hanwha did in game number 1, despite what the scoreline may tell you. Then Gen G versus the FLICKR Freaks, and that's a tough one to call.
Another someone's got to win match between 2-0-2 teams, not something we could have known pre-season. You want to tip a FLICKR, just like you did a FLICKR versus Hanwha Live. But they didn't show anything at Kesper Cup. They didn't show anything in the first week. The opposition has been on the upper echelon. They haven't faced one of the other strugglers, and yet, I just don't know. I just don't know about a FLICKR Freaks.
Yep, it's just really, really hard to tell, but we will find out one way or the other tomorrow. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and more LCK Spring 2019 will be coming up just around the corner, and we will see you then. Ladies and gentlemen, man, we got to go home, have a shower, wash off what was such an incredible series. We'll see you tomorrow.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause it's just the beginning. Together we'll be winning. We made mistakes. Make myself a sing. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather light. Light like a feather, fly like the wind. I fly together to where we've never been.